You're listening to The Daily Show.
The Daily Show?
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
On Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
With Russ Kane.
Well, more to the point, what's left of him. Been working round the clock. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. This is, of course, The Daily Show, exclusive to Men's Radio Station. You know, when you got a deadline to hand in a book to your literary agent, and it's got to be before Christmas, and you cancel everything, that is why you look like this. Absolutely trashed. He's back. We've got a packed show, like ridiculous show, ludicrous show, crazy show. He's back. He's been somewhere, and he's back wherever the hell he was. Neil Long. The judges.
It feels so weird. Hello, it's lovely to be back. It feels so weird after being in the summer 2 days ago and now back into not only winter but Christmas. So I thought I'd try and get in a bit of a festive spirit today. Try and get used to the idea that it's Christmas.
This is my festive spirit face.
Humbug. Humbug to you.
This is it, fella. This is it. I'm ignoring it. I just ignoring it. I'm just plowing ahead. I'm not a big Christmas guy. You get into it. You love all that. Right. You got a song. Go on.
Well, I thought we'd start just with a little bit of a Christmas song because it is Christmas.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, fine. Go on.
So I'd like everyone to join in with me.
Really looking forward to this.
Put your things in time. Are you ready?
No, what? Give us the one. Give us the counting.
1, 2, 3, and I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus underneath the mistletoe last night.
Oh,
she was kneeling to confess.
Oh,
and
God, no.
Was on her breast. Then I realized it wasn't Mum, but Daddy in a dress. Then I saw Daddy's best mate, Uncle Dave, underneath that beard so snowy white. Now, Daddy's got big plans for his site on OnlyFans, and that's why Mommy moved out last night. Happy Christmas.
I now know why I haven't missed you. Holy God, our first guests are sitting there. They're going, what the bloody hell? I'm going to be like...
That was performed last night in a stand-up comedy club, and it got big laughs.
Yeah. Timing. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like Claudia and Tessa. The SPEAKMANs!
Good morning. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Morning. I know you guys. Well, obviously, I don't know you guys, but I know you guys, if you know what I mean.
Oh, my God. You've got matching sweaters.
Yes, festive.
Christmas.
Well, you're the only one that's not joining in here.
Well, I'm not interested. I think the whole thing just a commercial load of... Anyway, tell us why you're here. Lovely to see you. You look telegenic. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much.
Very much so.
Thank you. So
now, the SPEAKMANs have done everything they can. Craig, what can they do to stay in the Daily Show? Go on.
Okay, so let me tell you about why we're here today, what I wanted to talk to you about.
Right.
And that is that we have been conducting some research with Premier Inn, who have been talking to people and researching about cringe moments at Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
So a bit like Neil singing there.
It was a bit like when I woke up in Premier Inn next to Lenny Henry. That was what worried me.
Excuse me, lady SPEAKMAN. That wasn't cringe, that was comedy, if you don't mind.
No, it was. No. However, yeah, we've been doing some research, and what we actually discovered, or what the Premier Inn's research discovered, was that up to 80% more cringe occurs during December.
Really?
Yes. Yeah,
wow.
like really, really cringe moments, embarrassing moments, things that you sort of play over in your head.
And actually, Russ, 74% of that, Christmas parties.
Yeah.
Oh, the worst. Oh,
Yeah.
the bloody worst. I hate Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awful. Awful.
But
Is this along the lines of taking pictures of your bum on the photocopier and that kind of thing?
It isn't, Neil.
Got
What's the matter with you?
I'm sorry, I'm only being honest.
Kids,
What? Yeah.
never do drugs before a show. Never.
Sorry.
Right. Come on.
But yeah,
Speakman.
that's the bumps on the photocopier is something that we've been hearing about, as well as obviously having a few too many and embarrassing yourself in front of your boss, saying things that you normally say, grabbing the mistletoe with the wrong person. You know, these are all things that can create Christmas.
That's how Neil and I met.
Under the mistletoe.
Yeah, it's great.
Under the mistletoe?
That's how we met.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. You know,
Don't tell silly stories. That's not true.
Say that now. Anyway,
Yeah.
here's the thing.
He's in denial.
It was in the disused warehouse on the other side of town that we met. Come on, we both know
At
that.
midnight, I know. Now listen, Speakman's. First Speakman's is, I'll tell you, like the worst thing I ever saw at a Christmas party. This is absolutely true. I worked for this huge ad agency. I was a senior writer. And we took over the Commonwealth Centre, which is a gigantic venue, which most people don't remember anymore, in sort of Kensington. A white tie event, not black tie, white tie, tails, everything. All our top clients were there. Huge. I mean, like massive blue chip companies, right? Brought out the agency, there was about 200 of us there. And one of my colleagues decided this was the time in front of everybody to punch our biggest client in the face.
Oh,
Wow.
why?
No.
They got into a creative discussion, and there was a disagreement over the creative direction, because I didn't do any of the artwork, I did all the writing, of which way this campaign should go. And the guy got very heated and he punched our biggest client in front of everybody in white tie, straight in the face, and knocked him to the ground.
Yeah, generally
Boom.
find that's not a great way to treat clients you're trying to schmooze.
It was a
in
bit
my
of a
limited
hiccup.
experience.
It was a bit of a hiccup in our fiduciary arrangements with the client.
I can imagine so.
What happened? What was the repercussions of that, Russ?
Yeah.
Words were spoken. Let's leave it like that. Words were spoken. I mean, we just went, Adrian, what the? Oh. Yeah, the guy was flat out. He punched him right in the face.
Oh my word! What about you, Neil? Have you got a cringe moment that you can recall?
Cringing at Christmas. It come to me. The reason why I'm hesitating is because I DJ and I've worked most Christmases, so there's sort of very little time doing. I haven't really got enough time to embarrass myself. If I was allowed, if I given more time, I could probably definitely find a way. I'll think of one in a minute. I'll think of a good one.
But it sounds like if you're DJing that you're observing other people's cringe moments.
Well, exactly. I'm so busy kind of living vicariously through them. I kind of ignore my own behaviour.
my favourite, we used to do, Christmas for me was, because I did panto, these huge pantos for 9 years, never again. But I did it then. And we would do the breakfast show, the Capital Breakfast Show live on Christmas morning. So my Christmas day consisted of going in early, doing the whole show, and coming back just in time to mess up the dinner. Boxing Day was, of course, the biggest panto day. So I didn't have Christmas holidays at all. So we're sitting in the studio, and because we all loved each other deeply, it was me, Tarrant, Cara, Annie, the producer. We were like very, very close. It was a family. It was like a second family. And the phone goes, and it's Chris's... and she's still a very dear friend of mine because we share the same birthday. Chrissy's then wife going, the dinner's ready, you've got to come home. In the middle of the show.
Oh.
And he goes, I'm broadcasting. And she goes, well, I don't care. The turkey's ready. You've got to come now. And he goes,
did she mean
it? I swear to God. I'm looking at Cara. Cara's looking at me. We're looking at Annie. We're going, oh, Jesus, we're in the middle of a domestic. In the middle of, we don't need this.
I remember those
what happened, Ross?
Nothing. We're doing a show to 4 million. We had 4 million listeners every day. And the Christmas morning show was a huge show. It was completely live.
Yeah.
And
it was
we just
fantastic.
carried
It was
on.
a magical show.
We just carried on.
Unbelievable. I think some of the cringes that when we did the research that have come out are like really common ones that I think that we can all sort of go, that's happened to me, or somebody I know is slipping over in public, or if you're in a conversation and you sort of feel that the conversation's a bit cold, you try and break the ice with a joke, and nobody laughs.
Oh,
It's a risky one.
It's a risky one. Yeah, I know.
I'd never do that. Ooh,
Yeah.
God. Ooh.
Yeah.
Tell me
Or what
something.
about accidentally spitting when you're talking to someone?
That's a big one.
Or having it done to you? What do you do?
Well, you have to pay extra.
Well, if it's done to me, I just very kind of subtly pretend I'm scratching my nose and then wipe it
But
off.
I go,
But when I do it to
thank
people, it's
you.
really sometimes, yeah.
Or
Or if I'm being
exaggerate,
less
yeah.
polite, I'll say, "Spray it again, Sam."
Yeah.
But sometimes I can see it like coming out of my mouth. It almost happens in slow motion, and it's always for the person that I really don't want it to happen to, like the girl I fancy or something like that. And you can and you see it land, and you think she must be able to feel that, and she's now being polite.
There's
And then I'm
something
in a
about
dilemma.
Neil.
What do? Do I do that wipe your finger thing, or would that count as inappropriate touching? I don't know.
Yeah,
Help
I
me,
would-
speak.
You're
Help me.
It's not a good thing.
I'm going to say you're totally bringing this scenario to life, aren't you?
Oh, we do. You are very
No, I'm
welcome here.
curious
You're
where
in
this is
safe
going,
hands.
because I know you spend
You're
an
in
awful lot of
safe
time
hands.
helping people. I see you do it on TV all the time. Is it NLP that you use, or is it a combination of that and other things?
No, it's a therapy that we developed ourselves, but it is a talking therapy that we use, and we literally just help people to see things in a completely different way. And and this cringe is exactly a great example of that. Is that when we have a moment in our lives that's traumatic or embarrassing, we will always see it in the same way. But if a third party, can give you a different perspective,
Right.
and
This is what I wanted to ask, because I knew this would be leading up to something like this with you guys. So how come cringe? How come this has become your latest thing? Why are you here this morning to tell us all about this? Tell us more.
Explain it. It's all to do with Lenny Henry and his comfy mattresses. Don't mind me.
Well,
I'm just happy to see them. They're lovely.
Thank you, Ross.
But
I'm asking the pointed questions.
And it's a great question, Neil. It really is. So understandably, our job is to help people to feel better, and sleep is a really big part of good mental health. Feeling better about ourselves, having good sleep-wake cycles is really, really important. And obviously, Premiering are also their philosophy and their
it's a good night's sleep.
It's a good night's sleep. So together, knowing that literally through stats show that people who have had cringe moments, 40% admit to losing up to 2 hours of sleep per night, worrying about this. It was just a brilliant synergy that came together in our endeavor to help people feel better, and for them to help, and Premier in helping people to have that restful night's sleep, particularly at Christmas time. And it's been a really, really, genuinely a fascinating study, because what's really interesting is that we all have those moments that we might cringe, and we don't talk about them. But when you actually start to talk about it, and we've been talking about it this last few weeks particularly, people start telling you their cringe stories, and it actually, they can start to laugh at things that they were mortified about previously, and that in itself changes perspective and helps you feel better.
Laughter is a great healing tool, but I'm just going back to what you said, that when you say cringe moments, can this be anything from, I don't know, accidentally snogging the boss's wife to a full-on capital
That's not a cringe moment. I think we can make
so what I'm trying to get to, even what we would consider relatively little things, on the grand scheme of things, something that to anyone else would be a funny story, but people can really lose 2 hours sleep over the relatively little things.
Yeah,
very much so, because what they tend to do is dwell on it.
Yes.
And the more we revisit something, and the more we access that memory, the bigger it becomes, and and the more inflated it is, and therefore the cringe or the anxiety that we have around it gets bigger. And so we've also created some tips that are on the website. And you mentioned laughing, and that is one of my favorites, because there's a saying that one day we'll look back at this and laugh. Well, our view has always been, well, why wait?
Why wait?
The sooner you can laugh about it, the sooner it loses its power over you.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was last in Los Angeles, I used to go there a lot. I'm last in Los Angeles, and I'm at a terrific party, and I'm chatting to this very attractive girl, and this is your cringe moment, right? Blah blah. What do you do? I kind of explain. I said, "Oh, what do you do?" She said, "Oh, I'm a singer." I said, "Oh, okay.
I'm cringing already.
Done anything I'd know?" She said, "Well, I'm in the Pussycat Dolls."
Oh dear.
Right.
It was Ashley.
Yeah.
So of course you got two ways of doing this, right? Because I'm a stranger, I wasn't really a stranger in LA, but out there a lot, and I just collapsed laughing. I just laughed my head
Well
off.
done.
And she thought it was funny. I mean, she could see I wasn't being rude,
Yes.
like trying to pretend I didn't know who the
Of
hell she
course.
was. I didn't know who she was, because everybody's somewhere. You go over there, everybody's something or other.
Yeah.
And
we've actually worked with some of the Pussycat Dolls.
Which one was it? Can we ask?
Pardon me? Say again?
Are we allowed to ask which Pussycat doll it was?
Yeah, Ashley. It was Ashley. Ashley Roberts.
Ashley Roberts, yeah. We've worked with Ashley.
Yeah, she's really nice.
Yeah, we met her in Los Angeles as well, actually, because we worked on a show with Ashley in LA. And what a lovely
I once ate fast food with one of the Pussycat Dolls. Bit of a weird story, but we were in Kentucky Fried Chicken, and she was really greedy, and I said, "Nicole, share Zinger."
God damn!
Come on!
Yes.
There we go.
Come on!
Yes.
Speakman's, can I just point this out? He's been away for a few weeks in the Caribbean. He's come back a different person. I like the miserable git that he was before he left. This new revitalized man.
Wow.
It's a worry. It's a worry. It's a worry.
Now, what I love about your therapy, when I've seen you do it on TV, Speakman's, is it's so quick. The change process.
Don't forget, you're seeing an edited version.
I was going to say, yes, it is, but do appreciate that you're seeing an edited version. That said, even on an edited version, our therapy is generally very quick.
I mean, because generally I think there's quite still a hangover of old school thinking about psychology, where people think change is going to be difficult and dragging out the past for months on end. And I've been saying on this show, we talk about NLP on the show as well. I've been saying, no, it can be very, very quick. And that's what I've noticed with you guys. Well, relatively speaking, if it takes a day, if it takes 4 hours, that's still really quick over something that's positive.
All right,
Yeah.
And the fact about it, Neil, is there's always been this false idea that if you've struggled with something for 10 years, then it can take up to 10 years for you to get over it. But, the question is, how long did it take to create? And quite often, the biggest issues that we have are created in seconds. So why, our view has always been, well, if they're created in seconds, then, let's try and get rid of them in seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is all about perspective. That is it. No matter what we feel bad about, if we can have, so if you imagine that our thoughts create our feelings and our feelings create our behaviors. So if we have bad thoughts, we'll have bad feelings, bad behaviors. Yeah. Our job is to help people have better thoughts so that they have better feelings and then consequently better behaviors as well.
I know
people are stuck in that cause and effect loop without knowing they're stuck in the loop.
Yes.
You have to kind of break the pattern, break the state, as they'd say.
It's giving them a nudge out of it, quite honestly. It's nudging people out of it and saying things that they don't expect, giving them a perspective that they're not expecting. And it does jolt them out. And quite often you'll hear people on the TV that we work with say, I have never seen it that way before.
When anyone says that to us, we know that they've changed. And what we've got to our advantage, though, Neil, of course, is the two of us and what we do, because we talk and we can finish each other's sentences.
Yeah.
So we can get people in just through conversation in an element of confusion so they can consider something else.
Yeah, absolutely. We take them out of that fear and
I know we haven't got you long because you're busier than God. But whoever or wherever he might be. I want to ask you this, because I lived in America a long time. And their whole thing, and Neil's touched upon it, is they say, well, we've got to deconstruct you. When you go into analysis, they deconstruct you and they leave you an absolute wreck. And then they build you up again. And it takes forever. And I've always thought instinctively, which is why Neil and I work together and why I like what you guys do. It doesn't have to take this terrible protracted business.
An analogy I love is a bit like a computer that's got a virus in it. And let's say the virus has been there for 20 years or 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. Remove the virus, the computer's going to work again. How long it's been there is kind of a moot point, isn't it? One quick question. This fascinates me. Do you always work as a therapeutic? Do you always work as a couple, like do
Pretty much.
sessions together?
Yeah, we do.
Always together, so it's always.
I would say 99% of the time. There are rare occasions, dependent on the circumstances, that there may be a very rare occasion.
But what is exciting, Neil, that maybe you don't know, is that we've been working closely with professors at Amsterdam and Utrecht University, and they've been doing scientific studies into our therapy. And so far, they've published 3 studies, scientific studies, and they've just finished a clinical study in a psychiatric ward in Bilthoven in the Netherlands.
So we're hoping to get our therapy through the NICE guidelines. I think there's one more clinical trial to go.
Excellent.
NICE guidelines, so that our therapy can be shared throughout the NHS and throughout the world. So that's very exciting.
Bravo,
That
you
is
guys.
super exciting and very much needed as well, because the traditional therapies can be, they're better, but they can be slower. I mean,
well, as Russ mentioned there, actually people can go into therapy and end up coming out feeling a bit worse
at the beginning.
Oh, easily.
They're dredging all this stuff up, and that's why we like to deal with things very quickly, because we don't want to send anybody out feeling worse than when they came in. But invariably, as you say, in therapy, there's this deconstruct that is then you're left exposed for a period until you can come back for your second session or third session.
And I suppose that, and possibly re-traumatizable in that time.
Hang on. And also, and then I must bring on our next guest. I love you. I wish you guys would come back. I know you're so busy, but if you could come back, we would love to have you back.
Okay.
I really want to do a deep dive with both of you, because it's
let's do that.
Okay. I'll reach out through Mark and everybody at Marketeers. It was this thing that when you're in traditional therapy and you've said, well, I'm reaching this, I think I've got a breakthrough because someone took my bike when I was 7 and I've never got over it, all this crap, right? And they go, well, I'm afraid that's all the time we've got. And you'd be sitting there going, but we've got to, and they go, well, I'm sorry, if you could speak to my...
The difference is with that kind of therapy,
and you're left in limbo.
Yeah, and you know why you've got the problem, but you've still got the problem. But the difference with what you and other very forward-thinking people do, it's just removing the problem when the glitch happened, if you know what I mean. And like you say, it was created quickly. It can then something else can be created quickly. You don't have to analyze and dredge it up again. Just get bloody rid of it.
It happened.
But bringing you both back to our
Christmas cringe.
Our Christmas cringe.
Neatly done. Neatly done. I like that.
I've done this before, but genuinely though, there are going to be many people, if they haven't already, that will have events during this month that will make them literally stay awake at night. And we would love them not to do that. And if you go to premiering.com/cringe, we've got loads of genuinely great tips on there, which aren't just necessarily for Christmas cringe. They are for times. We've got some tips on there that no matter what it is, whether it's something that was a bit scary or a bit embarrassing or particularly cringy, we've got some great tips on premiering.com/cringe that will help you and everyone to feel so much better. And I think you'll find the stats and the cringe stories, they are genuinely really fascinating and really interesting. And honestly, if anybody's got one of those moments this month, you do not need to cringe, because you are normal. These things happen to us all.
Everybody.
And when you can make light of them, then you can actually start to let them go.
And I'm going to end it with this. All right, because everyone's watching all over the world, Spain, all over the States. They watch all over the world with this show. If you want an example of what 2 professionals do when they're in the middle of an interview and they bring the whole thing back and round it up so beautifully, look no further than the Speakmans. That was marvelous.
You were so sweet.
That
was beautifully done and conversationally done as well.
Really, I love that. As someone who trains people, I love what you just did. Guys,
thank you, Russ.
All right, you take care. I'm going to find myself saying it. Have a lovely Christmas.
Bless you.
And you too.
It's been a real joy and so much fun to speak.
It's lovely to meet you guys. I've seen you on the telly loads. It's nice to kind of meet you in person, as it were.
Not everybody on the telly's a monster. They're lovely. See?
As are you both.
As are you. And keep that energy up, Neil. We don't want to see a miserable Neil.
Yeah. Happy Neil.
No chance.
Trust me, you really don't. Bye, Speakmans. Bye. Aren't they fabulous? No time to chit chat. I'm excited about this next guest. I had the great pleasure of being introduced to our next guest. His name is Lee WHYBERD. Now, Lee came onto my podcast that I do every Friday with Mark Collins, which has nothing to do with this radio station that Penny, Howard, and I set up. Nothing to do. It's a separate issue, and it's called "Walk the Talk: The Hero's Journey." And Lee was fantastic. And I said, I know how busy you are. Would you come on our show? And he's here. Hopefully, you're going to be seeing a lot more of Lee and his own shows on Men's Radio Station. God willing, Howard and I willing, to be perfectly honest with you, in 2024. Lee WHYBERD, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We are all the better for seeing you. All the better. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Ian, are you okay?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Now, Lee, I don't want to spoil it for everybody. So, Lee, tell us about yourself, because I think this is going to knock you sideways with this. I really do.
So I'm a third-generation clairvoyant medium. I'm a healer, holistically unscientific. But I'm also a bereavement coach. My specialty is bereavement and, of course, corporate business. So I like to go into corporate business and find out what's going wrong, or what they need to do to move things forward in their life, and what happens, who's taken from the company that shouldn't be taken from the company. So it's a lot of different things, boss.
I'm going to jump in
Yeah.
and say something, because this is going to astound everybody watching and listening all over the world. It's going to knock Neil sideways. If you think that Lee just goes into an office and wanders around and does it, no. Lee can do this remotely.
Yeah.
Freaked me out when he told me. Please try and explain, because it's just, I love it.
I can go in through the only way I can explain it to you, because it's very hard to explain being a medium, but the way I can explain it to you is I go into my third eye, and so if I'm talking to you, Ross, I would go into my third eye if I was doing that work, and I would walk around your office. So I would say what was in different parts of your office. So, if you had a photo of you and your mother in one corner, or whatever. So I go around the office first, and then I give them proof that I'm in their business, and then I walk around their business in my mind. I just done something, actually. It's quite a big corporate case, and they'd come back, they'd had bad news about the case. And I said, well, actually, I said, this is wrong. I said, this is over 100 pages. And they said, yes, it was over 100 pages. And I said, well, on page 23, there's a big mistake made. And now this company is overseas. And I said, what's put down in history to what has been put into this paperwork is completely wrong. If you look up in history, it says this, because it was to do with history and things like that. And when they went back, the person that had done the report against them had done it completely wrong. And page 23 proved that it was wrong.
Just to be absolutely clear, so I know Neil's chomping at the bit, but just to be absolutely clear,
weren't there in person? You just saw that. You just knew that. Saw it.
So what happened with them? We were speaking on Zoom, a different app to Zoom, but like we were speaking on Zoom, and they said to me, we got this problem, and this is this and this, and I could see, no, the problem was on page 23. The person who had done this report hadn't done the report right. So he had gone against them, but he didn't get his facts right. So I
understand the problem, but it's how you diagnosed it. It's fascinating me.
It's
you just
incredible.
did it remotely.
The way I can explain it to you is something said in my mind, page 23. There's a mistake. There's a big mistake of history on page 23. So
right.
I asked him to go back. I asked him to go and see the paperwork, because it was about 108 pages. I asked him to go back, find the paperwork, look through it, and contact me back. And when they come back, they said, yes, Lee, they've made a big mistake.
Now, recently, I know you're modest. You're modest. I'm just going to try to explain this, because people might be saying, "Oh, they're just poo-pooing it. This is nonsense."
Yeah.
But you have saved some companies. You were explaining to me when we did the podcast.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of pounds.
Yes.
That, do you remember? If you
15 million.
15 million.
The one I spoke to you about, I hadn't long flew in from that country, and I had found out that there was 15 million being stolen from the company. And the company was very big, very, very big company. And I condensed it down to where the finances was taken from and how it was taken. So with that one, I went there as a business analyst. And I walked through every office and sat down in offices, just had a cup of coffee when I felt like it, didn't speak to anyone, and just worked out what I needed to work out. And I spent days there, which people was very frightened.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. There's a bloke having a cup of coffee. I don't know who he is. He's not talking to me.
He's not.
Here's the thing. I just want to explain this, because if you, it's a lot to process. It took me a lot of time. And Lee is not like a forensic accountant. We're not talking about a big firm. There's big firms of forensic accountants who will go in and go through every nut and bolt and say, this is where the leak is, this is where the money's being siphoned off, or whatever. You're doing this in your head. Yeah.
Everything is done in my third eye, to be honest with you. Everything. And I've got to learn to cut off as well. So when I leave the work, I just completely cut off then. But no, I'm far from an accountant. I've got to clear what.
No, that's the point. That's the point I wanted to make. That it's because if you're kind of half listening, I don't know, you might be dining, I don't know, you're listening to the show, or you're driving along, you're listening to the show on the app, and you're thinking, oh, he's like a super duper accountant. No, it's the absolute opposite. Talk to us about the grief counselling, because that's a huge issue on Men's Radio. We talk about it a lot.
Oh, yes. I wish I'd known about you 2-3 years ago. Go on.
Well, what I love, the thing I love about is when somebody have passed over, I like to connect them straight away with the other ones from spirit, because a lot of psychic mediums or psychics would say, you can't bring them straight back. I've had them back within 6 hours of them passing.
No.
Yeah. And what I like about it is I like to get, of course, the longer they've passed, the stronger they are. But you can get them straight in.
Hang on. The longer they've passed, the stronger they are. Why is that?
Yeah. So what happens when we're on the earth and we pass away? You always find people that die, and I'm not saying always, because we have tragic deaths, but you'll speak to them. They say, "Oh, I can see Mum, or I can see this." You have this with a lot of people that die, and they'll mumble different things. So what is said that spirit, and it does happen. Spirit comes down and comes to the bed and collect them and take them over the other side, because they've got to be shown how to get over the other side. Then you've got the ones that are stuck. The ones that refuse to go can get stuck on the earth, and that's when you do the cleansing and bring the people back, help them to go over because they haven't gone over. Bereavement, when somebody goes over the other side, they normally come to terms with being in the spirit world, getting used to this new way of spirit. So the longer they've been there, the more they've come to terms with everything. But they can come back straight away. If you've got a good link and you've got someone that will bring them back from, one of their loved ones in spirit that will bring them through, or whether their guide will bring them through, the link can get stronger the longer they've been there, because they see a lot more.
Wow. What would you say to, because we're very straightforward here on Daily Show.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's watching now and going, "Oh, this is nonsense. When you're dead, you're dead. That's the end of it." What would you say to them?
Do you know, I've had many people say that. And I understand people, many people say it. But when they sit down with a medium and the medium can give them stuff that nobody else can give them or know stuff about them, that what I always say to spirit is, when I got someone who's very skeptical, I say to spirit, it's time for you to knock their socks off them. So I want stuff about them that nobody would know. Nobody at all would know. And normally they always come in and they always give me what I need. Always.
How damaging is these? I'm going to be blunt, Lee.
Yeah, please.
So I hope we know each other. We've spent a few hours together. How damaging are these snake oil salesmen who have absolutely no gift whatsoever, but are happy to take your money and just talk garbage?
I think, the saddest thing is, I've known people to come to me crying. They've gone for a reading. And bless them, because they've had readings off me in the past. They'd say, "I'm really sorry, Lee, but I wanted to go." And I always say to people, go, try somebody else out. It's good to try somebody else out. But I've had people come back to me, and this is not just, some of them have never been to me before. The things that have been said to them are awful. Because we are taught, when you were taught as a medium, you were taught the rights and wrongs. You sit in a private circle for many, many years before you're allowed out on platform, before you're allowed to become a healer. And I've had people come to me and they've been told their child is going to die in cot death.
Oh my God!
And I've literally.
The way I've always understood it, and tell me if I'm wrong here. I do believe that some people are gifted. I know, or I did know a very nice, not that she's no longer with us, I haven't seen her for ages, a very nice psychic lady, and she had a gift, no question whatsoever. I also think there's a lot of snake oil salesmen, and the challenge is discernment, because I think things like that, making predictions like that, certainly from a mental health point of view, could cause terrible anxiety and worry. And my belief is about psychic people, anything in the realm of psychic, the best of them bring more clarity. They shine a light, almost shining the light on the situation. So the person that's receiving the reading can be more comforted, certainly, but also to see more clearly. That's a much bigger, like the Speakmans are talking about, but a much bigger perspective, a much bigger point of view. But making predictions, will I win the lottery? Is that girl going to date me? Is my child going to die? That's just bullshit, isn't it?
It's awful.
But what they do is, we call them cold readers. And you were right, because what I do is I do past, present, future. Before I even give them the future, I tell them about who've died, what they've died of, and who they was. But I'll also tell them what have happened to them in their life as well. So I will go for the past, then the present, then the future. But you have cold readers, and cold readers do say, sometimes they say the most horrific things, because they just want to shock, they want to affect, and it's bad.
I know about cold reading. I've read about it. It's cold reading is essentially a party trick, and if you use it as a party trick, why not? It's just a bit of fun. But if you're using it to get into really deep stuff, that's pretty wrong, in my opinion.
Going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you this. This is coming in from, I have to read it because some people are just listening to the show, not seeing it. Paula Southern, hello. Oh my goodness me.
Is there a Paula? I'm receiving a Paula.
Stop it.
Sorry.
Seemingly, stop it, holiday boy. Seemingly, we can contact the spirits through a medium, but is there any way they can contact us? And can the spirits contact each other? Ooh, like my late parents. What a beautiful question.
Yes, I love that question, actually. That is a very good question. When they go to the spirit world, they are met with their loved ones straight away. Straight away, their loved ones from the earth, they are met with them. Whether they choose to stay together up in spirit, it doesn't mean they don't love each other or they haven't got good memories. But what happens when they go to spirit, they also go off and they travel the world, because we got guides, we got spirits in every country around the world. So, and the spirits that want to see the world will go off and see the world. So her mum might have wanted to stay looking at over the family. The father might have wanted to be in India. So they do go off, but they are connected at all times together. There's a good saying about spirit, they're only a whisper away. And when you call them, they do come in, and they are only a whisper away. So
from my understanding of spirituality, when we die, and I use the word loosely because I'm pretty rapidly coming to the idea that there isn't such thing as death, there is only life. So perhaps death is a big misnomer. When we transition, change our vibration, might be another way of putting it. I fancy that we're kind of reabsorbed back into the allness of everything, where everything is seen as one and interconnected. And on Earth, it's much denser, and we feel very separated from what we consider to be God or Source, and from each other. And that's the problem. This idea of separation, but which is illusion. In truth, spiritual truth, all is one, right? Which means you are connected. You are intimately connected to everything and everyone, and possibly you could be in two places at once. Maybe you could go to India and look over the family. You know, it's kind of the quantum reality. And you would feel an intimate connection, I would think, with everyone. So when you hear people like the prophets saying, do unto others as you have them do unto you, that was the level of consciousness they were coming from, because that person had an awareness of the connection. It wasn't just be nice. It was literally, this is the truth. Everything is interconnected.
Not followed
like that, and that'd be heaven on earth. That would be my guess.
See, what else happens is sometimes people want, say they want mum to come in, and sadly grandmother and auntie come in, and they say, well, why haven't my mother come in? It doesn't mean the mother doesn't want to come in. It just means
you not get a word in edgeways, are they a bit competitive?
And to be honest, that do happen as well.
Does it really?
It is a
something's never changed.
Do you know, one funny thing happened to me once? No, it wasn't funny. Three of us done a stage performance, and we were told by the host that stage of clairvoyance and mediumship, and we were told it was the last one, where the three mediums all had a message to give out in the audience. And we were fighting with each other to give the message out to the people in the audience. Now, if you see that on the earth with three mediums, you imagine what they're like in spirit when they want to come and put their penance worth in. Because if you had your mother that was really always talking and your father that sat back in the chair and listened, that's what they like in the spirit world. So when dad is trying to get his penance worth in, the mother hits him out the way. They do fight to come in to talk.
Were the three of you, when you were doing a stage performance, and that's a different thing than your other one, when you're doing, were you all getting the same message from the same entity, or different?
What happens, it don't happen to everyone, but you can work on the same link. So yes, the three of us had the same message, but the three of us were fighting to put the message over. And so when one would come in and say this, the other one would jump in. It was quite comical, actually. The audience was all laughing because it was quite comical, because the three of us had picked up with the same link, and the three of us wanted to give that message. And what you can remember, a lot of mediums, when they go on stage, because it is a lonely place, it's just you and your faith when you're standing on that stage. And so, it's hard to give, not hard to give readings, but you've got to have a lot of confidence to do it. But the three of us was very, we'd been working stage for many, many years. We'd been mediums. So we all had a good fight with each other. Who was going to get it over? I won, by the way.
Oh, well done.
No surprise. I
once went to a spiritualist church, and they thought I was a medium. They goes, I'm not, and they said, "Are you a medium?" And I just sort of made a joke and said, "No, I'm a medium large," which kind of broke the ice. But I found the spiritualist church quite interesting, and a lot more connected and a lot more profound, I suppose, than other religions that I'd experienced. Because traditional religion doesn't like this very much, does it?
Do you know, funny enough, you're right. I went into a shop about 3 weeks ago because I am long come back to the area I'm living in. And I went into this shop, and this woman was quite offish with me at the till. And she said, "Oh, you were Lee WHYBERD, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "You do clairvoyance?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, I'm a Christian and I don't believe in it." I said, "Well, actually, I'm a Christian." And she said, "Yes, but you speak to spirit." And she started lecturing me about it. And I said, "Doesn't the Bible say, 'Thou shalt not judge'? So as you, as a Christian, you shouldn't judge because you don't know what I do properly."
And how did that conversation end?
Yeah, how did that go over?
She shut her mouth then.
Yeah, when you suggested she practiced the teachings that she was preaching at you, in other words.
And going back to the spiritual churches, they are a wonderful place because they look after people. And when people have lost their loved ones, it's the only way sometimes they can get connection to their loved ones. Or when they're going through trauma, it's the only way, because if you go into church and you really need it, that medium will pick straight up on it. I've done many churches, but my home life is all in Kent. And I just love the way the churches are run in this area. I don't know about other churches because I spent most of my time in Kent or traveling the world, but it is like going home. They do make you feel very welcome in the churches.
I've got to ask this question because this is so important to people. And as I say, I'm speaking as someone believes you, not as a skeptic trying to catch you out. How do you discern a genuine article like yourself from these people that would just take our money and could potentially do damage? Because this is the skill, and particularly if people are vulnerable, and that's just the kind of thing that predators play on. So particularly for vulnerable people or for anyone, how do you discern who's the real deal and who's not?
See, a lot of people say these days, or they must have looked it up on Facebook, or they must have looked it up on Instagram. I don't want anybody's name before they come. If that person can tell you what have happened in your life over quite a period of it, and if they can bring in family names that have passed away or names on the earth, you know that medium is being correct.
Yeah.
If they haven't got a link with you, you know if they haven't got a link with you.
I mean, I don't know if you saw it. I think it's on. It was Netflix or YouTube. I think it was YouTube, and it was these big evangelical churches, like you know the type. And they were doing all this. I don't know what they called it now, but bringing in messages that they couldn't possibly have known, and it was an elaborate, and I do mean elaborate, scam. And it was just really scull the people into believing and giving their money. I mean, they'd be going to search through bloody bins to get information on them, and then it was being communicated, whispered by his wife at the back, and he's saying, "No, it's the Lord talking to me." No, it's not. It's your wife out the back.
And also because these people, some of these people are so thick, they've forgotten they've filled in a bloody questionnaire in the foyer when they're coming into the auditoriums. I mean, it's how dumb are you? Can I ask you? I want to get more fundamental. I want to get a little bit more fundamental. So
I've got a question.
I know Holiday Boy, but I want Lee to answer this one. It is from Paula Southern. She clearly would like an answer. Is it just one way, us to them, or can they contact us? And if and I'm going to add to it. And if they're going to contact us, how? What are they going to do?
They can find a medium. They number one, they make you go and find a medium, but not realistic. If they want to contact you, they will contact you. They'll switch lights on and off. They make lights flicker. You'll have knock-in. They'll have knock-in signs. There's a lot of different ways if they want to show you that they're there. And it sounds like the lady that have just wrote in about it, she's having signs. She knows that her loved ones are trying to communicate with her. So the question she've asked is very, she knows there's some activity. So normally there's activity around the house that they want you to know that they are there.
I remember, and if they wanted to get in touch with you, could they contact me? Right, okay, so say I passed over and I wanted to get in touch with my daughter in spirit. Could I sort of come knocking on your psychic door, as it were? I remember that wonderful scene in the movie Ghost. Do you remember that? When Patrick Swayze has in spirit and he's trying to communicate with his girlfriend Demi Moore, who's being scammed by these criminals, and he's like talking, and Whoopi Goldberg's going, "Shut up, get out of my head!" You know, is it like that?
They do what they do. I get what you call a spirit head. All of a sudden, I'll have terrible tension here. So if they saying to me, "You've got to ring so and so," you've got to ring so and so, and I don't do it, I will get a spirit head, and sometimes I don't know why I'm ringing that number, but when I speak, the message comes straight through. So even a medium, they say to a medium, "You've got to contact. You have got to contact." They wouldn't say to me, "You've got to go and contact Peter down the road that I don't know," but it's normally about people that is very close to me. That's when, or it can be a client, because what I'll end up doing, I'll see I've got a database of 58,000. So I don't remember all my clients. I don't remember my readings. But for some reason, something will pop up and I think I've got to message that person, and I will message that person and say, "Are you okay?" And they'll come back and say, "Lee, I was thinking about contacting you because of blah, blah, blah."
That's kind of synchronicity a bit, isn't it? I sometimes fancy that the universe is very benevolent and puts people together. You've got that. That person needs that, but those people can't find each other, and the universe is a bit like it's got the perspective to be able to
bring them together.
I like your chirpy attitude today, Neil. I'm going to go away. Wow, you come back a different guy. How much is this? By the way, Paula said, sadly, no activities. Is the lady who I've known for many, many years. We used to work together at Capital. No activity, as much as I'd welcome that. And Chris, hang on, off you go, Lee.
I think what Paula should do is start lighting a candle. I don't mean a tea light, but she needs to start lighting a candle and putting it by the photo. And what she'll find is the activity of to start off very simple. The activity of the candle will start showing that it's not, I know a candle can flicker from wind and different things, but she will notice activity in the candle, and it's a start. And then activities will start for her. Because she
can anyone be psychic?
Pardon?
Can anyone be psychic? Are we all naturally psychic if some are undeveloped?
I think you can open people's third eyes, definitely, because I've run classes all around the world, and I've had the worst skeptics come in and end up being one of the best readers.
So being a psychic is all about the third eye chakra being opened, right?
Yeah, because people...
And notice that's very close to the top one, which is the universal one. Do you need to have your other...
chakras open? Yes.
You do?
Every chakra. When you're going into doing a reading or doing your clairvoyance, yes, my advice is every chakra should be open.
So I remember a really good mentor of me. He's a spiritual mentor. I'm not talking about psychic stuff specifically, but he said the further high up you go into the quantum, as it were, the more grounded you need to be. It's bilateral. Actually, the higher you go, the more the thing he teaches is number one discipline. And we all want bells and whistles and angels and fairies. He's no, sit in a chair and ground yourself.
That's all I do. I sit in my chair. I put the divine light right through my body, out to my feet, turn into roots, go down into Mother Earth, ground me to the earth, and on the way back up, the nicest way, the fastest way I think to do it, every one of my chakras become a rose of that color. So I open every chakra up like a rose, except for my third eye. My third eye is the eye that opens, and my crown chakra is where the white light have come in. But I do a blue, green, yellow, orange, red.
Here's my problem. This is the difference between Neil Long, who I've known for many years, and myself. Neil's talking about chakras, and all I can think of is my hips don't lie.
That's Shakira, you idiot.
Well, that's how my mind works. I'm really sorry. Now, here's an important question. Let's try and help Paula here. How would I know? Right. So I'm hearing what you're saying. Get the candle, put it by the picture of her now departed parents. How would I know who it is from if I light a candle? Asks Paula. I knew you'd be a hit, Lee. What did I say? Knew it.
I don't think I'm being realistic because Paula's third eye is not open. She won't know which one it is, but she'll feel whether the present is, let's say it's mom or dad. I'm just giving that overall. She'll feel the present, whether it's a male or female. That will take a lot for her to understand who it is, to be honest with you, because I don't want to give her hope that she's going to think, right, it's mom that's by the side of me, and it's not. She will know there's activity, but she will know that there's somebody there, but she would have to either go to a medium or start doing some spiritual work.
But it's very comforting to know that, comforting, reassuring, empowering to know. I suppose there's levels. There's skeptical, and then you can believe it, and then people like yourself will just know that there's no end to this. There is no death. There's only life. It's just a big continuum, and everyone that we've loved in the past or ever will love in the future, everyone, if we want them to, we're still connected to them. You can't really lose anything. You can't. I remember when I was just starting to learn about this, I was sort of.
I don't agree. What don't
you agree with?
I tell you what I don't agree with is years ago, I had some friends. I hardly ever see them, much more reclusive, but they made all the. And Lee knows where I'm going. I think he'll guess where I'm going to go with this. It can be very unhelpful. They made they were very successful, and they made all their business decisions through this woman who was a psychic medium, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't get to see her, and I said, I really got some big decisions to make. Now, I'm going back years. There's nothing to do with men's radio or anything like that. Years and years and years ago. And, my wife was still alive, so we're going back to the 90s. And eventually she deigned to give me a session and was very specific.
Yeah.
Every single thing, Lee, was diametrically the wrong thing that she said. Yeah. Not that she was guessing, but everything she said, this is what you should be doing, and asked very specific. It couldn't have been worse. The outcome was a disaster.
But we said at the beginning of this.
Let me finish. Sorry. Holiday boy. Let me finish. It got so bad. I mean, I'll tell you how bad it was. It ended up in court. I sued them. Business. It couldn't have been, and I'm thinking, this is dangerous stuff. You don't know what the hell you're doing. And when I said to my friends back 20 years ago, I'd like to see this woman again and have a conversation with her. I don't mean have a row. I mean literally, like what? Oh no, she wouldn't see me. Wouldn't see me. And I thought,
well, I smell a rat.
Absolute charlatan.
Yeah, exactly. I smell a big rat. It comes back to discernment, because as I said at the beginning of this, and I think Lee will agree, or agreed already, it's true psychic. Had she been genuine, she would have shone the light on the situation so you could have seen it clearer, and you would have made your own decisions, not her giving advice like some guru. That's the wrong way around.
It was disastrous. It was awful.
Do you know what these charlatans should do? Or do you know, if that person haven't give you 3 things right straight away, they're not going to get it right all the way. Because when I give a reading, the first 5 things I'll give off, and I'll say, this is what's blah 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 blah, and that person would say to me, yes. If I felt that I'd give 5 things and they didn't take one of them, I think I haven't got a connection. That very seldom, very, very seldom happens to me.
But it's honest of you, Lee. That's the difference. It's honest of you.
Yeah, it's honesty.
Like, this isn't working. I'm so sorry.
I don't think any genuine psychic will ever make a prediction or ever tell you what you should do. I really don't believe that, because what about free will?
You've got 2 pathways in your life. You can come to me. I will give you the reading of everything that I can see. It's your decision. I can take you to water, but I can't make you drink it. It's your
Yeah, it's
decision.
free will,
what you
isn't it?
do. Yeah. At the end
It's
of
free
the
will.
day.
Absolutely. Law
Well,
of the
the good
universe.
news
free will.
is that with a fair wind, because I can tell from all the messages and all the stuff that I'm seeing that you are loving Lee WHYBERD.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
He will be
It's so
having his
fascinating, Lee.
very own series.
January.
The Lee WHYBERD Hour will be starting on Men's Radio Station in January. I am
Brilliant.
thrilled. I am so excited.
Me
I
too.
welcome you to the family of MRS, Lee.
Yeah, welcome, my friend.
I couldn't think of
Thank you.
anybody more that I'd like to welcome in. That's it. We're
Thank you.
completely out of time. Lee, wonderful to see you again. Longy,
Lovely to
welcome
see you,
back from
Paul.
holiday. You look fantastic. I will
Thank
be
you.
back
Good to see you
on
all.
Wednesday with Mr. Neil Long, who'll probably be much more miserable by then, down to my level. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Good
Bye-bye.
afternoon.
Bye.